Welcome, this is Rozani. Let's get right into part 2 of my Papier Mâché Pixie. Well, in the first part, I was working on the basic armature. Now, we've built it up quite a bit, so I'm going to focus on some of the details, starting with the fingers. And for these, I used little twisted strips. Now, you can use any paper that's absorbent, but I used the tissue paper in this case. And I'm going to apply them on this little hand, one by one, and side by side. And of course, they have been dampened with liquid starch, and that's how they're able to stay on the surface of the hand. So I line them up. Now, if this is too small to work with for you, you can make a larger figurine. Or, as I've mentioned before in my previous videos, you can make mittens. You don't have to make fingers. Now, you may have a better way of making the fingers, but for the purposes of this video, I'm making them like this. And then I cover that up with a piece of tissue paper, and that additionally holds them into place and just covers them up very nicely. You can see that there are indentations there, and those are going to guide me along the way. Meanwhile, because I added the liquid starch, it is softening the hand, so eventually I'm going to be able to get rid of any bulk that was there initially by just pressing down on it. So I continue to shape and press as I go. Let's keep going. It's important for me to flatten out the inside of this little palm. So I have to press and shape and just keep doing that and softening it with the liquid starch. Let's keep going. This technique will be a bit repetitious because I constantly have to keep going back and forth in between the individual twists like this to separate and define the fingers. And I just keep doing it as many times as it takes until I get them into the position that I want. I decided in advance that I wanted it to be pointing or making a point. So I have one of the fingers taller than the rest and the others are folded down. At least that is my goal. Let's keep going. If you've already begun on your little Pixie project, let me know in the comments how it's going for you. And if you have any questions, of course, I'll be glad to answer them to the best of my ability. I wanted to give a warm welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for being interested in my little videos and also for supporting my channel, for just being here. It means a lot to me. And thanks, of course, to all my regular friends, viewers, and subscribers. You all have supported me for quite a while, and I really do appreciate it. So let's keep going. I'm looking forward to working on some of these other little details. So let's get started with the ears. Here we go. I've sped this up so that I can include as much as possible in this part 2 of the tutorial. What I've done is twisted some little strips. They're nice and narrow, and I dipped them in liquid starch, and these were done with the tissue paper. And I'm outlining the little ear structure and creating a little framework, if you will. And then I'll go back in and fill it, making a little earlobe and then covering it with paper to smooth out the ear. Now you can make these ears as small or as large as you like. You can make them pointier. You can make them floppier. Just have fun with it. There's the little earlobe right there. Okay. So after we do this one, we'll go ahead and do the other one in the same fashion. Let's keep going. I need to also smooth out any imperfections. For instance, the back of this ear and any excess pieces of paper that don't belong there. I just press them into place. And I love working with this little skewer because it helps me. Now, my fingernails are a good tool to use also, but if you don't have long fingernails, these little picks are great. Or you may have something else that's similar, which would be very helpful for these little areas. I'd like to invite any of you who have begun your own Pixie projects to let me know. I will provide a link in the description where you can share your works in progress with me. I have a private Facebook group, and we can have discussions about the project there, and you could show me what you've made so far. I seem to be moving right along and making progress, but there's still a little ways to go. So I may have to divide up the rest of the video, but we're going to keep going for now because I have the costume coming up, and I think you'll enjoy this part. So I'll begin with this little garment right here. And it's going to be a little vest or a doublet. I just made these little petals out of green copier paper, and I'm adding them on right there at the cap of the sleeve. Those will be the larger petals, and then I'll follow with some smaller ones beneath those. And you see, this is where the understructure came in handy because it bulked up a little bit. And I bet you didn't think they were going to look like this. Maybe you did. But you never know until it's finished what it's going to look like in its entirety. But now, the thing is, you can have fun with it and do these sleeves however you want. It could be sleeveless. I thought it'd be cute to add on some leaves because this little pixie lives in the forest. Now I'm also adding some little leaves at the bottom of his doublet. The choice is yours. You could make a short little vest, or you can make a tunic. that's longer. But I like this style for this little pixie. Let's keep going. I love doing these types of things. Even in costuming, it's just so much fun to make doublets, which I really enjoyed doing for medieval and Renaissance costumes for the guys. But even as a fantasy costume, there's so many things that you could add on. So what I've done here with these little twists is created the neckline, if you will. So this helps to define the garment. And it's going to have like a V neck opening there. Let's see if I can give you a close-up. And that will definitely need to be set aside to dry. And it's convenient to place them in this little jar. All my little bottles and jars come in handy. I have them in different sizes, and of course they're accumulating like tribbles. But anyway, let's keep going. And here I've begun on the other side, getting those leaves into place. And the leaves don't have to be perfect. Make them look any way you want. Now, I needed to cover up the actual vest itself so that it can be more distinguishable. So I just added the paper with liquid starch right there. If you prefer, you can make a little fabric costume for it. And yes, the fabric will stick with the liquid starch, just like the paper, so you don't even have to sew it. But you can also sew it if you like. Let's keep going. Let's put on some cute little boots. There again, I'm using the green. And I'm just going to create some nice little medieval looking boots. I love doing these. There's not much that I don't love doing. I just love costumes of all sorts, and I love working with paper, and they combine together so easily for me. And it becomes second nature. I couldn't resist making these little guys. Now you can make little shoes if you want. They can be little ankle boots. They can be boots all the way above to the thigh, whatever you want to do. But these are one of my favorite types to make. And I've only made one pair of handmade boots before out of leather in a workshop. That's too much work for me, so but I do understand how they're made. So it's easier for me to make them out of paper. Now I did have to fill this one in a little bit because the foot was not quite the same size. And that's the beauty of it. You can always go back and fill it in with some more paper. And it was a little piece of paper napkin. Yeah, and so I'm going around and adding in the little green layers of copier paper. And shaping the foot a little bit and the little curly toes. I like the curly toes. I have a pair of my own leather curly-toed boots, which I like to wear at medieval fairs. I'm going to use this as a stopping point and bring this segment to a close. I will follow up with shorts so you can see the updates of the finished little Papier Mâché Pixie. Meanwhile, I thank you for having been here with me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.